So as a second part to can stress cause illness, today I wanted to talk about what we can do to help our health in relation to stress, managing current stresses and dealing with overwhelm and nervous system dysregulation. So in the last video, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you jump across. Can stress cause illness? The summary line was yes, it can, and we talked about the ways in which that can do that. So managing stress in our daily lives, either to make sure that the cup doesn't get too full, could be simply taking the time to recognize the power to stop. We live in busy lives where seemingly there's go, go, go. There's always something. There's always some social media to flick through. There's always a sense somehow that we must be busy. Nothing wrong with some social media, nothing wrong. It's just, can we decide to stop? And can we change gears? Can we be what we need to be in any given moment? And do we find the right balance in life? I really do believe a very long time ago, one of my first Chinese medicine teachers said to me, everything in life is about balance, and he was so right. It is quite simple, but finding the balance is not easy. So to be conscious of it and to do away with any sense of guilt that we might have around, stopping and taking time and reading a book or just going for a walk, but not for the purpose of I'm got to get my steps up or anything like that. Exercise is important, but just the ability to stop. Just spend time with people, just talking about something and being with them. That will change our nervous system, this social engagement. So there are lots of things of finding that balance in life. I don't particularly like the idea of the term of work-life balance, because that suggests that work and life, work is part of life. And actually, if we're lucky and we can get the balance of work in our lives, I think that's a much healthier way of viewing it, because otherwise it's like life only happens when I stop work. Well, that's a pretty sad state of affairs. We can enjoy our time at work, our colleagues. We may have a passion for the thing that we do. So balance in life, I think, is something to give thoughts to. Finding those things which are de-stressors and will allow our nervous system to come out of a very hyperactive state into a state of rest and relaxation are really important. Now, how do we know? Well, a lot of it is around felt sense and feeling. How do we know where our nervous system is, whether we're in a sympathetic, more excited state? Where are we in this state of life? Are we calmer and more resting, or are we more excitable? All of which are fine states. Just know where you are. So I'm a big fan of being able to feel, and a lot of my work is helping people to come back into the body, to be able to sense, do I feel more constricted or tight? Do I feel more open? Do I feel buzzy? Do I feel, what happens when I feel agitated? Or if, our partners say something which wind us up or irritate us or make us feel cross or threatened in some way, what happens in our physiology? Do we feel like the walls close in some way? What happens? Well, if we're going to be able to control something, we have to be able to notice it and to feel it. If we don't have access to looking at the speedometer in our car, it's very difficult for us to regulate our speed. So tuning into the dials, which is felt sense of experience, will allow us to know. And then we have greater control. Body scanning, mindful type exercises, meditation, things where we are encouraged to experience different states of our nervous system and relaxation or stress will really help us. These things will really help us to learn how to regulate our own nervous system and mean that stress stays within our tolerable limits. Of course, filling the cup up, if we like, with working longer hours for too long. Maybe we can do that short term in a busy period, or if we then have that for too long, we've got then too many business trips, and maybe things like coffee. Of course, nothing wrong with coffee. There's some evidence to suggest that good quality caffeine actually, and cacao and things, are very good for us. But too much of it, can be too stimulatory for our nervous system. Similarly, I think I'm going to ask my colleague Shalil, who has a very strong interest and expertise in nutrition and its impact on our well-being. Now, I won't go into that too much, I'll leave that for Shalil, but certainly sugar and the insulin levels within our body in relation to what we're eating and through the day is a passion of his. All I will say is the gut microbiome is certainly something which is really important. Recent research has finally helped us understand what people have known in wisdom for a long time, which is we do have a gut intelligence. We have a nervous system around our gut and our heart, as well as our central nervous system within our brain. In my work with helping with the mind-body relationship might be to try to understand and coach people on restoring the gut microbiome, but also in seeing the relationship between the two and what we can do in terms of feeling, knowing where we are, and helping to correct at least from that top-down side as well. So what we eat is certainly important in stress management. Of course, exercise to work with adrenaline and all of the hormonal changes and cortisol levels can all change. There's lots of evidence out there that we, I'm sure, are well aware of the benefits of exercise. That's not new. The benefits of exercise in managing stress. I will say, just a note, anything that we can do to excess and become either a set of blinkers or earmuffs, and sometimes we can exercise to excess when we're in high tempo. I'm going to go to work, and then I'm going to go to the gym, and everything's so high tempo, and actually that's not particularly balanced either. And really it might be that, what are we just stopping ourselves slowing down to feel? And sometimes we don't want to slow down because that sometimes means that we come in contact with some tricky feelings. So managing our exercise to make sure that we're using it not as an avoidance strategy or a coping strategy, but one which is in balance, where it's balancing a stressor over here with a relaxation, some physical attributes, biochemical attributes to physical activity, and also a balance of stillness, a balance of diet, yes, and also, of course, cognitive aspects of reframing things. If you've heard perhaps my other video on unhealthy positivity, yes, we can have a degree of positive thinking, controlling our mind, choosing the thought processes a little bit cognitively, very much a CBT type approach, has validity. But once again, in my theme of balance, not to excess. We must come in touch with feelings. We must come in touch with the fact that, many hear me say I'm a massive fan of anger. We really must be able to process the energy of anger, because if we don't, where does it go? So managing emotions, challenging parental upbringings, cultural and societal factors which shift the way in which we allow ourselves to experience stress. Oh no, I'm all right, I'm a machine, I don't get stressed, I live on this adrenaline, I'm an adrenaline. I'm sorry, that's not healthy. And so really being able to reflect upon these things to find the right balance of all of these factors, I think leads to a healthy managing of stress. So to summarize, yes, we've got the gut microbiome, we've got looking at our diet, we've got exercise and making sure that we're using exercise for the right reasons. Also stillness, quiet time. We've got social engagement with others, regulation of other people's nervous systems will help us to regulate our own. This engagement of empathy and some sense that we know where we are in a society creates safety in our nervous system, and safety in our nervous system is really what will bring us out of stressful situations. Yeah, when we're stressed, we're not in a safe environment. When we have the safety of others around us, that we feel, yes, I'm orientated to here, there's no threat. This helps our nervous system shift out of stress. So I hope that video's been maybe a slightly different angle on stress management and what we can do about it. Of course, if there's been traumas in the past, then this will change things greatly, because we then will react to those changing sensations and stressors perhaps in a different way. You know, people talk about being triggered, and when we're being triggered is when we feel ourselves being drawn into the current of something which in the past has been too much and overwhelming. And this is where a lot of my work comes in to help heal the trauma that's pulling us away here, which means we can't cope with that. Yeah, and we can improve our nervous system's resilience, capacity, and ability to cope and to process old trauma from many, many years ago in order to bring our bodies into balance and our nervous systems into regulation, and so manage stress, the natural stresses of life, in a better way. Thanks for listening, subscribe, and watch out for the other video from Shalil, which I'm going to ask him to do on nutrition and its impact on the body and stress. Take care for now. Bye.